Hey everybody, it's Pokemon Colosseum.
Hey.
There's been even more off-screen grinding.
Yeah. I leveled up my whole entire party to level 40, and I also unshadowfied all these boys. So we're gonna go to the place where you purify them and do such.
How far into the game would you say we are?
About half, a little more than half.
Okay. I was like afraid you were gonna say like a fourth or some crazy shit.
No, the game's relatively short.
I mean, don't you have like 22 hours or something?
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to play it the way I'm playing it. You don't have to like train every Pokemon that you get.
It seems like the game leaves you pretty under-leveled playing through it like straightforwardly though.
I mean, if you're only using the same 6 Pokemon, you'll probably be at the right level, but if you're like constantly changing out your team, it's gonna be different.
I see. Yeah, so it's just like trying to catch all the Pokemon in the regular game. Man, how are you feeling?
Feel really good.
We went to a pumpkin patch yesterday.
Yeah,
And that was fun.
I haven't been to a pumpkin patch in like probably 5 years, so
I couldn't even remember ever having been to one. It's possible I did it when I was young, but I have no recollection of
it's
having
fun.
been to
You
one.
go and you get the cider donuts, and you get some
Yeah.
apple cider, and
We
yeah,
didn't get
you
no
get
apple
a
cider, but we
pumpkin.
did get some fucking delicious
It wasn't that
donuts.
cold, like.
Yeah. There was like a whole lot of white people with their kids. Was it a cool little farm?
Was
It
there
was like-
anybody that was not white there?
Yeah. There were some black people and some, there was like an Indian guy.
I remember like one Asian family. There was majority white, because
Yeah.
Christmas is, I mean, Halloween is a pretty
It's a pretty
white
white
holiday. I
holiday.
feel like, do you know if other cultures like decorate for Halloween?
I have no idea. I know it's, I mean, white aside, it's also a very American holiday. Like, I don't think it's celebrated in even other white countries.
I don't know. I think it's probably celebrated in England. I feel like that's a
I don't know.
place that like spooky.
Spooky people live?
Yeah, Harry Potter was spooky.
Harry
That
Potter
was like a Halloween thing, right?
was a little spooky,
Yeah.
I guess. Anyway, you carved a Gengar into the pumpkin
It
just
looks like
now.
poop.
Literally just now.
I'm
this
terrible at
happened.
carving pumpkins, but it was fun.
And now we're munching on
It's really
pumpkin
therapeutic
seeds.
to like stab a pumpkin.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I didn't want to.
I think that's why everybody likes it so much.
Yeah, it's like really like, it's like stabbing a person, but it's a pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't like that kind of fun?
Now we're munching on toasted pumpkin seeds.
People probably hate us for doing such.
For eating the pumpkin seeds on the recording. It's likely. They're very crunchy. Oh my god, you fucking fixed the Suicune.
Yeah, it took forever in Mount Battle to get this Suicune to do the thing. Oh, I got Aura Beam.
Fucking sick.
Aura Beam's a pretty shit move, honestly.
Another thing that just happened is I set my fucking bracket for the Game FAQ's character battle.
Why?
I'm excited.
Yeah?
Every, like, I don't know how many years it is. I don't know if it's every other year or every 3 years or something. Game FAQs, they have 2 different...
Look at how many levels this guy's getting.
That's ridiculous. Like,
That's how many battles I had to fight.
So does he just not level until he's purified?
No, they don't level when they're shadowed.
Oh, that's crazy.
Which makes the game exceptionally hard because you don't come to this place until after you beat Pyrite Town. So you're like already pretty late in the game when you actually unlock this place, and your team will be full of shadow Pokemon that are stuck at their level. Oh
That
my
sucks.
god. Go down.
This game, you were shocked to see it on a list of worthwhile GameCube games
Yeah,
from
worthwhile,
V.
yeah. Worthwhile RPGs for the GameCube. I was like, huh.
Pickings must be pretty fucking slim. So, anyways. Yeah, Game FAQs does 2 major competitions every couple of years. One is the best game ever competition, and the other is the character battle. And with the character battle, you're meant to like make your predictive bracket. Which if anyone's interested in doing this, do it now because you have till Thursday. As of today's what, Monday?
Yeah, it's money.
And you can win money if you get enough points.
How much? How much money?
The top prize is like $1,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You can buy like 3 Switches with that.
You pretty much have to get the entire bracket correct. And I always fuck up because like there's certain stuff that's easy to figure out, but the hardest is like when new characters get introduced, it's hard to gauge how popular they are versus the old, because usually the same characters will win every year. But right now they've got it so there's like the Legends bracket, so like the 8 characters who basically always win don't even show up until the finals. So it's more about like it's really the early matches that are the hardest. Like you can easily figure out which big bad famous characters are going to make it all the way to the end. But if there's like, you know, a couple of battles between 2 different less big characters, it's like, oh man, I don't know who's going to win between like 2B and Bayonetta or something. Like, you know,
Bayonetta.
I don't know. I don't know in that case. I didn't predict Bayonetta making it very far. I don't remember who I had her losing to, but it's always difficult to gauge, and I usually fuck up pretty badly pretty early on. Though I've learned my lessons from previous years. You know, like I've seen cases where I predicted one thing and was wrong. I think the biggest risk I took was I put a lot of faith in Kingdom Hearts and Sonic fandoms. I don't know if they'll make it far, but generally, like,
I don't know about Sonic. I don't know how many Sonic fans
Sonic
are
the
on
Hedgehog
Game
is
FAQ.
one of the legends.
Yeah.
They are. They're definitely on there. I mean, the thing about Game FAQs is that it's been the same users the entire time. Yeah. There are no new people on Game FAQs. The people, the funny thing about
the website does not attract newcomers.
No. It's the thing about Game FAQs is that it's primarily it really has like 3 distinctive functions, I guess. On the one hand, there is the FAQs, which are the main bulk of the website. It's a go there to learn about a game, like look at guides, get answers, you know, like anything you can't figure out, this is a good stop to figure out what you need to do in the game. Part 2 is the forums. Now the forums on some ways are just a natural extension of the FAQs. A lot of it is people just asking questions and stuff, but there's also just discussion of the games, and some of these forums in themselves can become communities if enough people are bumming around in those forums at the right time. Like how I was a part of the Tales of Symphonia community in like 2005, and from there I ended up on this bizarre other forum with like 7 people from there. It's a weird hit time in my life. But anyway, so there's the forums, and then there's also the like weird particular social elements. I won't even call them social. It's like every day there's a top 5 or a top 10 list that's on the front page, but it's not like they're all like weird obscure top 10s, like top 10 things you didn't know about the PlayStation. I guess it's all stuff that now would be YouTube videos, but they're more entertaining as just text lists on Game FAQs. And then, but the number one and most important thing is every single day,
for sure.
Every single day there's a poll. There's always poll of the day. And if you're like me and you just check the same 10 websites, not even 10, now it's like 3. If you just check the same websites every single day and you put Game FAQs in your rotation, you've answered the poll of the day every day for like over a decade. And that's me. I mostly go to Game FAQs to answer the poll of the day as a weird compulsion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And because of the fact that I've been doing it for so long, I've been able to watch the trajectory of like how those people feel. And it's fascinating because most of them are my age and have been doing it for years. Like when the poll of the day, like they'll ask like, how many poll of the days have you done? How old are you? And it's like, you see the results and you're like, oh, I see. It's all people like me who've been doing this forever. That's why the same characters always win in the end of these polls. It always is Link versus Cloud. Like, and now they build the ballot in such a way that Link versus Cloud can't be the final battle. They make them fight in the semifinals at the latest, but like Link versus Cloud was always the final battle. And it's because amongst this audience, Final Fantasy VII and Ocarina of Time and Chrono Trigger are still the 3 greatest games of all time. And like, no matter how much time passes, you'll always have like an absurd number of characters from Final Fantasy VI and 7, from Chrono Trigger, well, I should say Final Fantasy 6, 7, a couple from like 8 and 9, and then a bunch from 10. And then like Lightning, you know, from the later games. Like no one from 12, no one from 13, yeah, it's like just those 3 that came out in the key years of the childhood of millennials, you know? And then you got Link, Sonic, you know,
please go in the ball.
All the classic characters who've been around forever. Anyone who was in Melee, like, you going for it?
Yes,
you got Stantler.
Oh my god.
This is not the first time you were struggling with a Stantler today.
No, because I've been playing through Pokemon Silver on the Virtual Console like recently, and I've been trying to catch them all, right? And Stantler wasted like fucking 15 Pokeballs. Because I'm a fucking Jew and I only buy Pokeballs because they're the most cost effective.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So your life has just been Pokemon lately.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. You like get into a Pokemon kick and then you forget all about it.
Do you feel like you've regressed back to your childhood?
Yeah.
It's like you've been bouncing between like Pokemon Colosseum for grinding, and then you'll go play Pokemon Silver on the 3DS, and then switch over to Pokemon Go when we get in the car.
Yeah, and Toho Puppet Performance.
Right,
which
and
is
also
a Pokemon clone.
Yeah, there's a great Pokemon clone with Toho characters. So like you're playing 4 Pokemon games at the same time right now.
That sounds about right.
And you just carved a Gengar into a pumpkin, so that's also Pokemon.
It's true.
None of this is weird to me at all because I'm used to life just being Pokemon.
Isn't that how it should be?
It's weird because, like, when I was a kid, that's how it was for, like, 4 straight years, right? Like, there was a 4 solid year chunk that Pokemon was my only real obsession. And, like, in that time, it was a lot harder to engage with it regularly. Because you could play Pokemon Red, you could play Pokemon Silver, or you could look at Pokemon cards and toys, or watch the show when it happened to be on, you know? But there was nothing more you could do. It wasn't like I could just watch the show all the time. Like, I did have some VHS tapes that I watched, like, a considerable number of times, but, like, how many times are you gonna watch the same episodes? And I didn't have that many.
I'd watch the same episodes, like, 40 times.
40 is not only so much, though, you know? I'm just saying, you can't watch them 300 times.
No.
Like, eventually your parents are gonna fucking get really sick.
I say 40, but I can't think of a single Pokemon episode I've seen more than, like, 5 times.
I've definitely seen the ones I had on VHS, like, a lot of times, but again, only because, like, I only had, like, 2 or 3 Pokemon, you know, home releases, and they didn't make, like, it's not like they released the entire show on home video the way that they would with a show now, you know? It was, like, random 3-episode chunks that were themed in some way. So yeah, it was like, even though I was obsessed with it, there was only so much engagement you could really have, whereas now, it's like there's fucking dozens of games, hundreds and thousands of episodes of anime, you know, there's Pokemon Go. It's just like, you can let Pokemon be your whole life easily. And, there's
a fucking whole board on 4chan.
Mm-hmm.
Anything there's a whole board on 4chan, you can just waste your life doing.
That's true. And I feel like it's easy with Pokemon because there is a lot of variety. Because, like, there's just so many Pokemon, you know? Like, even if the games play kind of similarly, it's like, you can have different experiences by playing with different Pokemon and fucking, you know, mastering the systems of different games. It's just, it's like an all-encompassing phenomenon. And so, like, even though there was a long period in my teen years where I oh god, wasn't really engaged with it. A big part of Pokemon has always been the social aspect. And it's funny because when I was a kid, I feel like I got the most socialization I ever did out of Pokemon. Like, I went to Pokemon League, all the kids on my block played it, but then I also learned social rejection from Pokemon when I was into it after it stopped being cool.
Yeah.
And suddenly there was no social aspect to it. And so for me, my interest in Pokemon usually goes up depending on how many people around me are also interested. So like when a new game comes out, I'll be excited for it because like Victor and Shade are excited for it, and then we all beat it and then we move on, you know? Or like if Victor is getting really into the card games, I might play with him. This is me speaking, you know, about the past, obviously.
Except for he was into the card games.
Yeah, well,
like
him and Hope play the cards like
which
crazy.
Which is cool.
And like, you know, when I was with my ex, she was big into Pokemon, and that got me onto a big Pokemon kick.
Oh no.
And now that I'm with you and you're into Pokemon, it's got me on another, like, and I mean, I'm not even doing like any Pokemon stuff right now. I'm kind of trying to resist because I'm like, I don't want to go and like play a Pokemon game right now if like the new one's gonna come anytime soon, you know. But I think it's pretty far off.
It's not coming anytime soon. It's like probably.
I can't decide which one I want to do though,
6 to 8 months
because like
away.
I had a lot of fun beating X to like catching every Pokemon in Pokemon X, like, or Y rather. I had Y. Like I really loved Pokemon Y. I had a lot of fun playing it, even though it was a pain in the ass at a certain point. But like just the sheer amount of shit that was bombarding you at all times in that game was fun for me. And then Pokemon Sun and Moon, like, I enjoyed the game overall, but just the sheer amount of unskippable fucking dialogue in it makes it really hard to return to. And like we got Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and like didn't make it very far just because it was like, oh yeah, I just played this like a year and a half ago and not enough is different and I still have to read endless amounts of cutscenes and go through like the 3 hours of fucking hand holding before the game really starts. It's just a little annoying. But at the same time, it's like the newest, prettiest one. I don't know what I would do if I wanted to play a Pokemon right now. But I don't really have space in my life for it. I got enough games going on.
Yeah.
You know? How have you...
Pokemon's always there for you. That's the thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's always there for you. It's like our comforting. But like when you sink into it, you know that you are back where you started.
Right.
It's like back in the womb with you.
How you feeling? How's life been the last few days, weeks?
Well, you can finally like tell it's fall.
Yeah.
Like the weather is finally starting to change for the better. Cuz it was like still 70, 80 until a couple of weeks ago.
It's starting to get a little cold.
Yeah.
And the days have gotten real short. I mean, we've also been waking up really late for the past week or so.
Not
but
really
like,
late, but just like
late enough that the sun is only up for like 4 or 5 hours, and then it's just like, where the hell did the day go? But like, it's because it's getting dark at like 6, and daylight savings hasn't even gone the other direction yet. So I imagine it's gonna be getting dark at like 4 o'clock here when daylight savings ends.
Yeah, of course.
Which I guess I just kind of forgot, because I'm not used to that in my life. Like, that's what it was like in Rochester, but it's not like that where I'm from. It doesn't get dark quite so early as it is in the north.
The Norfolk.
We went to that Denzel Curry show, and since then, I've been working a lot. I've been getting a lot done. And I don't know to what end. Because I feel like YouTube is scorched earth right now. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you hear this from me all the time. How do you feel about, like, the state of things? Like, divorced from the stuff that I'm always saying. Like, if you just had, like, a pulled back perspective on what's going on the internet, how does it feel to you?
I mean, YouTube was kind of a sinking ship for a while. Like, there was a time before we were dating that, like, you were the only real content that I was consuming at a time.
Right.
And I think that it's only become more the case recently. Just, like, nobody's making interesting things, and, like,
I mean, there's still there's
all like weird drama.
There's fun business as usual. Like, some people, in my video I talked about like that there was nobody new and nobody like doing anything new, and some people in my Discord were like, oh, I've seen some new stuff, and they were like linking to a couple of channels that just seemed like the same kind of stuff, you know?
I mean, the novelty of YouTube has worn off for years now, so a lot of like those channels that are like very YouTube-esque, just like,
I just wonder if the people who are excited about channels like that are just new enough to YouTube that they don't know that it didn't used to be this way. Like, it didn't used to be that there was a clear formula of what even is a YouTube video or what even is a YouTube thumbnail, you know? Like, because one of the things that they linked was like some kind of trivia thing that was like, there was a video called like Rick Astley. People used to think Rick Astley was a black guy.
Yeah,
and,
I saw that.
I looked at that and I was like, this looks like it could have just been like an auto-generated Vice video that like that would show up in my suggested and waste half all my fucking time. Like, the other day there was a video that was like, why has Mr. Brightside by The Killers been on the charts for... is still on the charts, and I was like, whoa, that's interesting, because we both listened to The Killers.
But it was literally contentless.
Yeah, it was. The first like 30 seconds was an ad, which I just skipped through. Then it was just like a whole history of The Killers for like 3 or 4 minutes. Then there was like 1 minute of the guy just posturing his personal thoughts on why it might be the case, and then wrapping up with another ad, and then it was over. 7 minutes, and like, I won't say that I wasn't entertained at all, because I didn't know anything about the band. Like, I don't know about their history and stuff, so I did learn about their history, but it didn't answer what I wanted to know. Like, I thought maybe there was a special reason that this song was still on the charts. Like, maybe it had appeared in some commercial in England that was keeping... I don't know. Like, his theory was just some shit I could have come up with.
His theory was just like, well, we don't know, but it's because it's really catchy and easy to sing along to.
It's just like, yeah, no shit, like, dude. No fucking shit.
Wow, why did this have to be that long? A lot of songs can be
described as that, so why this one, you know?
It would just be like more of a fun fact. Like, hey, did you know The Killers is still on the UK top charts?
That's all it needed to be.
All it needed to be was like a fun fact.
But yeah, it's like, that's what I've come to expect from a YouTube video. And like, there's nothing that's when I say nothing new is coming out, I don't mean literally there are no new channels. I mean that the new channels that emerge are just the same fucking shit. It's just the same shit you're used to. And like, the people who have been around forever, some of them are still doing good work, but it's the same work, you know? Like, I still love Matthew Matosis videos, but they're still Matthew Matosis videos. Like, he's not reinventing the wheel, even though his latest video was pretty inventive and, like, divorced from the context of YouTube being as stagnant as it is, it would have felt like a pretty good breath of fresh air, if not for the fact that it's, like, a minor difference in the presentation of analysis videos in a world where that's the only kind of content that I still see, you know? And, like, I don't know. I just want to see... The way I see it, when I was younger, the internet was unpredictable, and you could do basically anything. And then, because of the fact that social media became such a, like, that everyone was on there, and, like, it was just so much easier to make money that way, then that took over. And the sad thing is, it almost would have been better if the promise of money had never come into the picture. Because in that early internet, yes, there were people who you can look at, like, maybe AVGN or Yahtzee. Yahtzee was, like, one of the first breakout hits that came from YouTube, where, like, he uploaded a few videos there, and then he got picked up by The Escapist, you know? And as he called it, He said, you know, making stuff on the internet is like throwing messages in a bottle into a sea full of messages in a bottle and hoping that someone on a boat made of money will come along and happen to pick up your message in a bottle. And that's exactly what it was like. There were some people making money, but most people were just throwing messages in a bottle into an ocean full of messages in a bottle with no expectation of actually getting picked up. And so everyone was just making up their own shit. It was just like, here's my personal approach. Here's my idea of what it's going to be like. And then when somebody was successful, a bunch of people would try to copy what they did, hoping that the same thing would happen for them. Or just, you know, wanting to show that they could also do it. But like, the more of those, the more success there was for people doing specific formulas, the more other people wanted in, you know? And I know exactly how bad it is because I'm a trendsetter, so I've seen the wake, you know? Literally, I started Brony Analysis, and then there were over 100 of them. Over 100 people who were just copying the exact style I was doing, but bad, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, when you see it in that level, that quantity, and like, I had to see it all because the only reason it happened was that I created the analysis section on Equestria Daily, and so everything was sent to me, you know? So like, the reason people were making that stuff is because that section existed, and because that section existed, I got to see every analysis video, and I immediately regretted it. Because so much bullshit came out of it, you know? And it's just like, that's what happens when the metrics for success become clear, is that everyone's gonna try to become successful the same way.
Yeah.
And like, it's really unfortunate that it just leads to a bunch of people all chasing the same dragon instead of just doing, you know, instead of just tossing messages in a bottle out there.
Yeah,
and
instead
like,
of just making their content, the content
Right.
that they wanted to make, like...
Right. But like, I feel as though we've reached a point where people don't even seem to realize that they can do something else. That like, that possibility ever existed, because the audience is so centralized on social media that now most people's conception of what even is internet content is just what goes on those platforms, you know? Something I've always struggled with is trying to make people care about my content if it's not an analysis video. And there are things I've made that took vastly more effort. Like, okay, some of my charts, like my cute girls chart, or the how to get into magical girls chart, or the anime depth chart, like any of those was a vastly greater effort than any video that I've made on my part, you know? Especially that cute girls chart. And like, with that one I made an After Dark video just to like promote it, but like, nobody patrons me over stuff like that. And it's because they don't conceive of it as something patron-worthy. They just think of it as like offshoot content. They think of it as just like, oh, that's just some neat thing that Digibro made. Even if they legitimately get more out of it.
Yeah.
Even if they like, they end up using it all the time, or it's something that they really care about, or like they're really happy that I made it, people won't conceive of offshoot stuff as the kind of content that you patron for, you know? And like, I understand why, and it's a lot of it is my fault, because I painted like the main channel as the boat that's carrying the channel, you know? It's like, this is the thing, and
This is what you pay for.
right. But like, it's unfortunate, because sometimes I like to work on those weird side projects, and there's people who appreciate them a lot, but it never feels justified, because it always feels like people are gonna look at this and just go, that's cool, but they're not gonna think, oh man, I'm gonna patron you because you made this cool chart, you know, but they'll patron me because I said some words about a show, you know. I don't know. It's a weird feeling. YouTube is such a joke to me right now that I don't know what I'm doing on there anymore. because it's like all I'm thinking about is where can we go? Like what can we do? What can we do on other platforms that will make people want to be there instead of YouTube? Like how can we show people that this kind of content is not interesting and that there's another type that is, without creating something big enough to really shift the tide, you know? To make people feel like they're getting more than what they would have gotten the other way. And I think it's difficult because so many people watch YouTube because they want to kill a certain amount of time in a certain way. And especially for someone like me who's amassed an audience on the basis of they listen to me talk for an hour every day or whatever. Yeah. Like, I don't know how to provide them something that will give them the same engagement that they're getting out of my videos. And like, I don't know how much of my audience would want something from me if it's not just that, you know? And how do I take that and make it something that's different or not something you could get on YouTube, you know? And like Twitch is an obvious alternative that I am doing now, but like
it's just like the kind of content you create would have to be transformed to such an extent to fit Twitch.
Yeah. Like
Twitch already has rules. Twitch already has sort of an algorithm and sort of like
right.
Like a template to follow. And there's like certain like expectations and restrictions placed on content creators on Twitch.
I guess I would put it like I Am Games is sort of the way that it's formulated right now is that it is the meta of internet video content. So like my main channel has always been in a weird state because of the fact that I can't just pump out analysis videos about anime. It's not as easy.
Analysis isn't a hose.
Right, analysis isn't a hose, but at the same time, it can't, like, unique analysis isn't a hose. You can't just constantly formulate fresh things to say and, like, legitimate personal perspectives on things. But when it comes to video games, because of the fact that I can kind of divorce from myself when it comes to games. Like, I can write about video games as if it's not me writing about it, and it's because of the fact that I have been participating in the meta of gaming so hard for so long without being a part of it. Like, I've been watching video game analysis videos for like 6 years, and there's way more of them than anime. In the sphere of anime, I'm the only person who makes analysis videos I care about. In the sphere of games, there's like 10 to 12 people. I've been following Errant Signal forever. I watched all the extra credits videos back in the day. Ego Raptors videos are like my fucking Bible. I can recite them, as you saw the other day when me and Tom were like quoting the entire thing along with it. Gaming Brit, Hyperbit Hero, Errant Signal, I think I said him already, Matthew Matosis, Mr. B Tongue. It's like there's tons of great video game analysis channels and tons of subpar ones that I've followed as well. But like, so I know how to talk about games, and I know every game because I'm somebody who will go out of my way to just research everything popular or everything that's liked. I've spent a lot of time like looking up top 100 most popular, or like top 100 best PS1 games, top 100 best this or that games, and then like I know everything that's on those lists. Like I could sit here and tell you what are all the legendary games on any console. And so like I know the meta, and therefore it's a lot easier for me to write analytically about video games, even if I don't even play it, even if I just watch somebody play it. Like, as long as I know what are the parts about this that people will care about or that are like resonant, and I'm not saying I Am Games is like an amazing channel or anything yet, because most of the analysis has been pretty basic. Like, we haven't tried to tackle anything big yet. We haven't tried to tackle like a big huge game and make a big huge point about it. Though I have been trying to, you know, when I finally fucking beat Crosscode, I think I'll have a considerable amount to say about it. But, like, because I was always imagining that as, like, a 16 to 20-minute video, but I don't know, you know, it's impossible to know until I've written it. But it'll definitely be longer than any of the other ones so far, because there's just a lot to say about the game.
And you've had more of kind of an intimate relationship with it and spent more time with it.
I mean, it's just, most of the games we've played on IM Games have been short to the point, like, because we wanted to make videos quickly. We were like, let's play games that are not terribly complex and that we can find the point of, as you know, within the span of 2 live streams and then make a video about it. Whereas Crosscode is a fucking fully fledged RPG, you know? So there's lots of different systems and stuff like that. But anyways, you know, it's just like, those videos do not take long to write and they do not take long to edit, and doing the live streams is fun and the audience is super engaged. It's like, you know, most of the subscribers to the channel are like interested, especially on Twitch. It's like the Twitch streams is like a consistent same crowd is there who's really active, and like, you know, people are buying the shirts and people are on the, there's like as many people watching the Twitch stream as are in the Discord. So it's like, it feels like everyone is deep into it. So like, those are where we've kind of built. And it's funny too, because the Twitch streams, you know, I upload them to YouTube and they're all like 3 hours long. So if you're somebody who just wants to hear like the comfy, rambling Digibro content like what these are, I mean, they're basically that. Like, they're pretty talkative. There's not a whole lot of dead silence in them. It's like, I will go on the same kind of rants I would on a Let's Play or something, and like deep dive my career and all that shit. And like, so if you just want the endless amount of dialogue content, you can either watch it live and participate in it, or you can watch it back on YouTube later. And if you want the analysis videos, you get the analysis videos, and they're all like satisfying, you know, well-written analysis videos, like the kind of stuff that I feel like people want me to do on the main channel, but I just can't do it for anime, because like, all the anime people care about is bad. And all the anime I care about, nobody else cares about. And with games, everybody cares about games. Like, yes, there are a lot of games that, like, most of the games that I uniquely enjoy, I've talked about this before, that, like, the reason I can't do IM Games by myself is that if I only played games I like, there'd be nothing to talk about.
I feel like people are also more willing to try out new games.
Yeah, that too.
Like, people who like anime kind of have a very solidified identity and like what they like and aren't willing to like experiment.
Yeah.
Whereas people who like games like understand that like games can take a lot of unique approaches and stuff, and that it's like cool to try them all. And like there's a lot of people who are specifically into indie games and stuff.
I mean, I guess I would say that the biggest bar for entry to talking about games for me was always the fact that gamers are a lot more particular about you getting things right. They don't want you to offer your very personal slant. If you complain about a game for any reason, you better be damn well ready to defend yourself and phrase it. Like, my Mega Man 11 video is phrased very carefully, and there's still some people who complained. You know, still some people who had a problem with it, or were just like, get good. Even though, like, I went out of my way to say twice in the video that it's not their responsibility to make a game easier for me, and that, like, you know, your mileage will vary, and that all of this is very subjective. Like, even when I'm making just, like, a very basic point, it's like, I know with gaming, like, the way you have to write it for people to listen. And it's easy for me to do that when I'm doing it from the perspective of IM Games, because it's not Digibro. It's not me. I am not the videos. I am games in this channel, you know? Like, it's almost like if you tried to scrub me out of my own writing, which is why I don't voice all of the scripts, and why, like, you know, I also, I write about games I'm not even playing on the show a lot of the time. I'm just writing Tom's perspective into a video. So it's like, it's a channel that is built around the idea of, like, how could I make the kind of content that YouTube wants from me and have fun doing it, you know? And also, how can I make the kind of content that Twitch wants from me and have fun doing it? And, like, it seems really successful. And so then I look at the main channel and I'm just like, well, then what the fuck is this thing for then, you know? Because I don't know what people want from the main channel. Nobody's ever clear about it. Everyone's always saying what they want, but it always seems like they just have this imaginary version of my channel in their head. Like, people are always longing for some past that doesn't really exist from my channel.
Yeah.
Like, they're always telling me that they want me to go back to the way things were at some time that was never a thing. There was never a time where my videos were in a consistent style. There was, like, I think that a lot of people discovered my channel and then watched a bunch of videos that happened to be similar from years apart from each other. It's like if someone told me that they want me to go back to the SAO and Asterisk War style, it's like, those were 2 years apart, you know? That was not like a thing where it was me cranking out videos in that style. That was never a thing. It was like when I had an idea for it, you know? When there was something to explore, because just doing the same thing to every bad anime would be dumb and retarded, and it would get old really fast, you know? And, like, I don't want to just write reviews of every new show that comes out because I don't like the majority of it. And, like, yeah, it's just a matter of, like, I guess it's a matter of extremes, where, like, with video games, even if you talk about a pretty obscure video game, a decent number of people care. And with anime, if you talk about a pretty obscure anime, nobody cares.
Nobody gives a poop.
And I know that, like, my core audience, they would argue the opposite, but they're just not enough people, you know? And relying on them is dangerous, because when my core audience feels disappointed with what I'm doing, then they completely jump ship. And, you know, so I don't know. It's a weird and scary position to be in, where, like, I just look at the main channel and I'm like, this is just like a clusterfuck, you know? And I'm just kind of doing whatever. I'm doing things with no particular rhyme or reason. It's like, I started making SAO weekly thinking, like, hey, maybe people will want to hear me, because I made a tweet saying, like, should I cover SAO every week?
And of
people
course,
seemed
people
excited.
are going to be like, yeah, I'm hype, and then that's not,
and
people
then,
aren't going to actually watch the video because somebody said they'd watch something on Twitter.
Right.
People on Twitter just want action.
Yeah, I've said this before too, that, like, yeah, people always say they want it, but then when it comes out, nobody cares, because they just want content and they don't think about what it means.
Yeah.
So, like, the SAO videos are not really pulling numbers, and then I start up Steins Gate Zero sucks, and, like, when that came out, that was when I truly realized that I didn't know what was going on anymore, because that video, it's got like 55k views, which is okay. I think it'll get more, but it's not astonishing. And I lost 400 subscribers from releasing that video, and it has a pretty sizable dislike bar, but none of the comments, okay, not none of them, but, like, most of the comments are positive. Most of the comments are like, I agree, or otherwise, I see your point, or you've ruined the show for me. And the only ones that are super defensive are, like, people who are arguing that the visual novels are different, and that I'm wrong because of what the visual novels say. Or they're mad that I slagged off the visual novel, you know. Like, that's the only people who have, like, real defensive comments. And, like, on Reddit, it pretty much died in the water immediately on the basis of the title.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so you all say that you want me to go on these rants about bad anime, but if the bad anime I choose is one that you all like, then it's not your game all of a sudden. You want to watch me rip on Isekai Smartphone, but you don't want to watch me rip on something that you enjoyed, even though that's what I'm actually passionate about hating.
And there's more things to say. 'Cause,
right.
Like, how much are you going to actually be able to say about, like, isekai smartphone show?
Nothing. I'll have the same things to say I said about Astro
Yeah, it's
Spore.
like you already made that video. You already made those points.
Anime is good or bad in a pretty linear way. Like, I mean, I've managed to wring 4 years out of anime so far, and I mean, granted, I've repeated myself plenty of times, but like, I feel like I've fucking given you everything. Like, I've given you every angle. Like, anime is only good or bad in so many unique ways. And after that point, it's just applying the same logic to every different show. And, like, there are some times where you can discuss a unique case, like with Steins Gate, because of the fact that there is an original show and a sequel, and you can compare them, and that's fun. And I love doing comparison videos. Like, that's my favorite, is when I get to compare, like, a good first season to a mediocre second season. That's, like, the most fun type of video to do. But how often do you get to do it, you know? And, like, I got lucky with Fooly Cooly and Steins Gate Zero right in a row, both being, like, terrible sequels to shows that I loved. But then a lot of people like those shows and don't want to hear me complain about it. And it's just, like, there is no way to give people what they want in this medium, because I don't know what anybody wants. Like, I don't know what people want from an anime analysis channel in 2018. I think that most of the people who would be interested are just kind of sick of this kind of content because it is circular. Like, I think the smart people are looking at it and going, this is just repeating itself. You know, like, this is boring now because it's all the same shit. And then the dumb people are going, you didn't represent my opinion and that's all I want. But, like, you can never represent everyone's opinion because there's always going to be an oppositional force. There's always going to be people who are okay, people who are mad. Overall, I just don't think people really want this type of video in 2018 unless it's just parroting the wave, you know? Like, Arcada was the first guy to get popular doing anime reviews, and he legitimately, and this is not me, like, making fun of him, this is what he made his content strategy, was that he would go figure out what shows were popular, figure out what the most common, like, feeling was about the show, and then make a review communicating that. Like, if it seemed like people generally like the show, he would make a review about why people generally like the show. And it's, like, entirely based on what the audience wants. And I, for the longest time, tried to do just whatever I want. And, like, when I try to do what the audience wants, it's impossible because I'm not the audience, you know? I can't just give you a product because I guess I care too much about anime, you know? I can't, like, lie about it. I'm not gonna go and represent the popular opinion if I think the popular opinion sucks. So,
Fair.
I think with gaming, because it's so much bigger and it's so much of a, like, not only bigger in terms of how many people care, but that, like, people care about the whole history of games. People don't care about the history of anime. Like, people care about flavor of the week. They care about whatever's popular now, maybe a couple shows from the past, but most of those have been talked about so much that nobody cares anymore. But, like, you can't make a video about, like, an obscure 80s OVA and expect people to care because it's that OVA. You can make a video about a video game from the 80s and people still give a shit because they've heard about it. Mm-hmm. Because, like, gaming has kept its history alive. They can understand,
because the evolution in gaming, I think, is, like, more clear and you can see it and you can feel it, where everything is, like, kind of connected and things build on each other. But with, like, anime, I don't think people realize
how much of it's there.
How much history there is and how much, like...
And that's also because most of it wasn't around here back then. Like, anime only took off in the States in the 2000s, and, like...
Yeah, when you're, like, actually playing a game and can feel how, like, this mechanic in the Zelda game turned into this, like, commonplace thing.
And, like, for most people who did get into anime in the mid-2000s, like, their nostalgia would be for Naruto, you know? And, like, you can endlessly milk the Naruto and Bleach nostalgia dollar, or, like, Elfen Lied or something, but you can't really leech the nostalgia of the shit that I was watching in the 2000s. Like, I can't make a Soul Taker video and expect more than 10,000 views.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm legitimately nostalgic about that, but not enough people were. I could make a Sonic Adventure 2 video and guaranteed get views because everyone is nostalgic about it, you know, because it was here, it was common, it was in stores. You know, Soul Taker was maybe available at Suncoast. I think I talked about, I think I misnamed Suncoast on a you know what Suncoast is?
I assume it's just like an FYE, but for old fags.
It was just a DVD store, and it was like the best one. I feel like I talked about it on a recent episode of this, but I called it Babbage's, which was a game store. I think I might have confused
okay,
them.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you did call it Babbage's.
Yeah, Babbage's was a video game store that was bought out by GameStop. Suncoast was the DVD store. Those wires get crossed in my mind because they both disappeared around the same time in like the mid 2000s. But yeah, Suncoast was like a major home video store that had fucking everything. But yeah,
I have the card key.
So when I work on the main channel, it's like if I were to make a big high effort video, it's gonna take a lot of time, and some people will care. And I'll get some patrons from it, but I'll also lose some patrons because they just want me to put out more frequent content, and they want just like regular, like, I think that people want me to just do what Jeff does but good, and like, that isn't a thing. You can't just do what Jeff does but good for anime, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a matter of just write a solid analysis video every week. The reason Jeff can do what he does is because it's not good. You can't just take that same format and just make it a good version of it, because the only reason he can get out a 15-minute video every week is that he will stretch the point until it's belabored, you know? He will take a 2-minute piece of content and make it 15 minutes long. And if you won't do that, you can't just fabricate 15 minutes of stuff to say twice a week out of anime, unless you want to hear me be real cynical and negative about every single thing every single week and repeat the same points over and over again, you know? Like, it's just not doable. And so I think that the vision people have in their head of what they want from me, it just can't exist in the anime sphere. And like, when I see that like none of the avenues that I have in mind for how anime could work for me on YouTube are panning out, it's just like, anime's not the answer. And I know I can move because I've done it before. I know I can switch forms and stuff like that. But I don't simply want to just make like, okay guys, I'm a games analyst now. You know, like, it's not that simple, because it's really the whole identity of the channel that I feel is kind of poisoned. And man, releasing my last few videos made me realize that I don't care about most of my audience. Like, I care about my patrons, and like, I've had problems with the patron Discord before, but like, man, it is so night and day the level of understanding that they will have versus the general audience. Where, like, even if the patrons only halfway got the point, they at least halfway got the point. My general audience just doesn't even know what the fuck is going on a lot of the time, you know? And it's like, it's embarrassing. Like, first of all, like I said, losing 400 subscribers just because the video was called Steins Gate Zero sucks. Like, there's nothing wrong with the video. No one even has complaints about the video. I could understand if it was a case like the Erased video where I'm being a dick and I deserve what I'm getting, but like, I wrote it very carefully, it's very well reasoned, it's emotional, it's personal, it's, you know, it's everything I could want out of a Digibro video. So if you're unsubscribing on the basis that my opinion is different from yours, you were never really someone I could rely on to watch my shit.
And I honestly think that you probably got a whole bunch of fans like that with the Crunchyroll Sucks video.
Yeah, I definitely think there was a lot of...
like, r/anime like loved that video.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those people like were offended that you were shitting on anime taste. They're, you know.
Yeah, and then like I put out the second SAO Weekly video, and it's like, if you're paying attention to what's going on at all on my channel, you would notice that I made SAO Weekly episode 1, which was like the intro to the idea that this was going to be like a meme video every week about SAO for the sake of gaming the algorithm and seeing what I could do with this property, because I have a long history with it and it would be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to episode 2 and it's like it's such a clusterfuck of different levels of understanding that it's fascinating. Reading the comments on that video is similar to, if anybody remembers Kimmy Sparkle from the Brony days, it's very similar to that, where it's like this mix of people who, some people who don't even know SAO Season 3 is airing still, even though I made another video about it already.
I feel like it wasn't hyped enough. Like,
it wasn't.
Crunchyroll isn't like mass emailing people. Like, SAO is back.
Like, yeah, there's people who don't even, people who do get it, who don't get it, people who think I wrote it, like, people who...
Yeah, that's hilarious.
A lot of comments are just like, oh, you're pretentious. Like, dude, you think I can write like this? You're an idiot. A lot of people who literally get the joke that, like, I'm making fun of the exposition scenes length, but don't understand the things I'm saying, you know? And it's just like, I don't know what even is my audience. I really don't. I don't know how to gauge. How am I supposed to engage with these people when I don't understand who the fuck is my audience even? And so, like, right now, if I'm thinking of myself as like a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer, it's a lot easier to work on IM Games, because the identity of that channel is still very clear. It hasn't gotten away from me, you know? It's like, you sign up for this and you're getting like straightforward video game analysis. It could be about any game. It's all kinds of different subjects, but you always know you're getting a video game analysis video. No ifs, ands, or buts, no complications. It just is what it is. It's the kind of content you come to YouTube for. And then the Twitch streams are like, listen to a couple guys talk and play video games for 3 hours. It's exactly what you'd imagine. Like, and then they get uploaded to YouTube, and there you go. There's your long form content. And it's just like, this makes perfect sense. This is what, if you're going to do YouTube in 2018, this is how it has to be done, you know? And I don't know if I can apply that back to anime. So like right now my main channel is just like a weird clusterfuck of random shit, of just like whatever I come up with that I can make a video about, and hopefully it's good enough that people enjoy it. After Dark channel is literally just brain blasts now. It's just like, and, you know, we talked about in the last video the Goblin Slayer trilogy that I did just to make fun of how dead YouTube is. And, like, in many ways, the SAO video is also that. Because I titled it Sword Art Online is Good Now, just to fuck with people. And there's so many... Oh, my God. The funniest part is all the people who literally took the title for granted and didn't even watch...
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to really know how fucking stupid r/anime is, holy fuck. So last week, when the original SAO Weekly video came out, it was pulled from Reddit immediately on r/anime. And the original reason given was that it wasn't anime related enough. Now the video is 4.5 minutes, of which about 20 seconds are an advertisement for IM Games. The rest of it is all like me talking about the episode or making parodies of it. So the guy who uploaded it, you know, he complained to the mods, and they said, you know, we gave you a bad choice of words. What we really meant is that it's a shit post because it's just like cobbled together elements of a bunch of different stuff, and like it's not the same as an abridged series because those have like a coherent story that they're trying to tell. It's just all this bullshit. Like, okay, the title of the video was SAO Weekly, the meme never dies. And I'm sure that some mod clicked on it, thought it was too Digi bro, you know, because it starts with my face on screen, I'm rapping, and they're like, oh, this is a rap, this has nothing to do with SAO, not paying attention to the lyrics, not paying attention to the fact that it's made out of the episode. Like, no one else is gonna make higher fucking effort content about this show than I did making a rap out of sounds from the episode, making a beat, I mean. And like, the whole thing, like, there's lots of analytical points. I'd make a point about the same face, I kind of break down the history of the show and my relationship to it. I make a point about how much time they spend looking at cups in an exposition scene. Like, it's all about the episode. But it immediately got taken down. Meanwhile, SAO Weekly Sword Art Online is good now is still up on the hot page with comments that are like, oh yeah, Digi's finally admitting that it's good now. And it's like, it's even like relatively well upvoted, you know?
That's
like
hysterical.
Because literally just the fucking title. The SAO, or the Steins Gate Zero video was dead in the water on r/anime because of the title. Did not make it to the hot page, got like barely eked out like upvotes at all. And then meanwhile, this new video, which, in case you don't know, has nothing to do with Sword Art Online at all. I literally just synced the mouth movements vaguely to me reading a passage from The Critic as Artist by Oscar Wilde, a thing written in the 1800s about criticism that has nothing to fucking do with the show at all.
Yep.
And the joke is that it says Sword Art Online is good now, and then in the description it says, the rumors you heard online are true, the dialogue in this show is as good as Victorian essays now. Because a lot of people were for some reason insisting that the show had gotten good, even though nothing has happened at all in the show.
No, the whole episode was them trying to chop down a tree.
Literally nothing has happened, and it's exactly the same as it's always been. Nothing new, nothing's different. It's the same fucking show, and people are like, oh, it's good now.
They're like, the pacing's
What are you fucking
great
talking about?
because it's gonna be a year long. The pacing is great. It's off to a good start. They're cramming in half a book in an episode.
Awful. It's really awful, and like, that's the point. I'm making fun of it for being really awful, and people are like, oh, Digi finally likes it. It's just like, dude. I can't do this. I can't be in this world of dipshits any longer.
No.
Like, I don't know how to live in a world where the best way forward is to parody itself. Like, how is it that Thoughts on Goblin Slayer, which is 3 videos of just memes, has like a combined total of 90,000 views?
Yeah, way more than like your fucking your Steins Gate Zero video that you spent.
Yeah, combined with the 3 of them. And then like, and this SAO video is rapidly getting views. Like, it's easily gonna outstrip the first SAO Weekly. It'll probably outstrip the stupid fucking Steins Gate Zero video, even though it's a fucking stupid meme. It's literally a fucking meme. I made it in like, I mean, I probably spent as much time as I would on most videos just because it took a long time to, like, it probably took a couple hours to lip sync all that shit. Mm-hmm. But I mean, all I did was open up Oscar Wilde's Critic as Artist, read it. My reading is pretty okay, you know? It was the first time I read it, so it was like, you know, like, I skimmed this essay like 6 years ago, you know? And this time I like read a section, so like, it's all one take. I didn't try very hard. The point of it was to be a shit post, you know? And like, it's got a better...
The clearly labeled shit post gets to stay on r/anime.
Yeah.
The well thought out criticism and like critique that creatively reuses footage from the show is a shit post.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know how to live.
Well, you just
in this world.
Now you know you're making videos for for dum-dums.
And my
I'm sorry.
the last video on After Dark, why you watch bad anime, was also just a stealth way to get people to listen to me talk about Web 3.0. And the comments on that video are super embarrassing, because the first like 6 minutes I talk about my like little pet theory as to why people watch bad anime, and then I like immediately segue into this long ass rant about like the problems with modern creation on YouTube and how we need to escape it. And there are good comments that are in response to that, but like the majority of the comments are people explaining why they watch bad anime, and not even in response to what I say. They're just they just literally clicked on the video and left a comment immediately. It wasn't a question.
No.
It was a statement. Again, it's just like, who are you people? Where do you come from? Why are you clicking my videos?
Why are you sub to me?
It's such a weird feeling to be like, to know that there are people watching these videos who completely get it because they are listening to me talk about myself and my life, and they know what's going on with me, and like, that's like 2,500 people who do know what's going on, but literally within the same sub base, on the same channel. If I make a video with a dumb meme title, I'll get like 40 times the number of views from a bunch. Like, I need to just pull an Emp Lemon and fucking purge them, you know? Which is really what these videos are kind of like, they should have done that, but it just works.
Yeah.
Like Emp Lemon, when he did it, he trolled everybody by, he had made, you know, this popular meme video called Frying Nemo, and because so many people were begging him for Frying Dory and they didn't care about him as a person, he made a video called Frying Dory, and then it was just like a fuck you unsubscribe video, and he burned away a lot of his empty subscribers. My SAO is good now video, like, would be that, except that the people who want that to actually be my opinion just think it is.
Yeah.
And the people who don't are, you know, gonna be like, oh cool, Oscar Wilde. So it's like, I can literally fucking piss in people's faces and they don't even fucking care. I made 3 Goblin Slayer videos and it took till the end of the 3rd one for people to finally get the point. Like, the comments on the first 2 are all like people arguing about the show. The 3rd one, finally people stopped trying to argue. Like, finally most of the comments were like, oh, okay, I see what was happening here. And it's like, it took this much.
Yeah.
It took fucking me breaking it down and saying to the camera, I don't care, over and over again for you to realize something that has been apparent about me for years, for the whole time. The whole time I've been doing this, I've been clear about this. I made a parody of Attack on Titan review as an April Fool's joke 4 fucking years ago, making fun of people expecting me to care about it. Like, it's just, I've grown weary. I've grown very weary of being in this. And
Oh no.
if I'm gonna be a part of it, I just want it to be fun and easy. And like, I Am Games is that. It's fun and easy so far. Maybe it'll be fucking shit one day too. But like, right now, with the level of engagement it has and the level of getting it people have, it's more fun to work on, you know? It's more fun than like beating my head against the wall to try to make anime videos that either no one's gonna care about, or my core fans are gonna go, well, this isn't as good as your old videos. Motherfucker, everything I make is better than my old videos. My old videos suck. I'm sorry. I don't like them. Oh boy. My sorrows. Weird. How are things going for you?
I'm playing Pokemon. I've been catching lots of Shadowmons. I caught 4 already.
I think what I probably need to do, because I keep bouncing between 2 different mindsets, and I always have been this way, that I have a tendency to just work a whole lot because it's easy. It's a lot easier to just throw yourself into work and just do the stuff that seems obvious and is right in front of you, you know? So it's like, it's easier to just go, oh well, I've got an idea for a second Mega Man video, and then maybe I'll play Tenchu and do a video on that, and like, oh I'll fucking I have an idea for a Zombieland Saga video, maybe I'll do that. And it's like, none of this is gonna fix the problem. No. This is all just continuing things being as they are. Mm-hmm. It's just like, yeah, I can make a Zombieland Saga video, and then a few people will get off my back about the fact that I've been so negative lately. Whatever. It's not going to do anything new. It's just going to be another video I can put out. And, like, that's a circus you can be a part of forever. Or, like, you know, making I Am Games content. Like, yeah, I do want to grow the channel, but, like, it's not... Working a little faster is not going to make it magically blow up overnight. Like, it's going along at a fine speed. It doesn't need 3 videos a week. It doesn't need, like, anything more than what it has. You know, it's a side project. Taking it too seriously before it's really, you know, had its roots laid in would be a mistake, right? Especially when it doesn't even have a Patreon or anything yet. Like, it is making some money, but, like, it's basically breaking even, you know? Because we spend a lot of money on it. So, like, it's dangerous to go too far down that road. What I really need to do is... I also have a Ghibli cast sitting around that I want to finish, but, like, I really need to just stop working on any of my YouTube channels for long enough to figure out what the next thing is. Because I keep I'm always thinking about it in the background. I'm constantly going, like, oh, well, I guess I could work on this. Or, like, there's a little bit of a creative idea, but let me go make 4 more YouTube videos today, you know. A lot of my, like, shitposty vlogs, I think, come as a result of me, like, not wanting to have to face the challenge of coming up with real new ideas, and then, like, I just, like, look around and I spot something, and I'll make a video about sad bacon, you know, like, that'll occupy the next 20 minutes of my time. Bacon. But yeah, I think there needs to just be, like a few... Maybe like a whole week of just, because I already have the the Steins Gate Zero videos ready. They're like locked and loaded, you know. Like, I have to voice number 3 and 4, but number 2 is already in Devu's hands, and that's enough videos to last the rest of the month. There's no reason to do more on the main channel. My patrons will not be upset if the only videos that come out for the rest of the month are the Steins Gate Zero videos, because they are great analysis that people want to hear. It's exactly the kind of content they fucking patroned for, you know? And they're getting stuff on the side channels and shit. Tons of streams if you want that stuff. And I haven't even been able to do patron rewards because I've been working too much on this other stuff. But, like, there definitely needs to be, like, a week-long overhaul of my entire thought process towards how I do my work. Because right now, it's just a lot of me falling into easy traps. And it's not that exciting, you know? The last, like, 4 days, I've just been working, and...
watching Log Horizon.
Oh, yeah, we have been rewatching Log Horizon, which is fucking great. That's been the most fun. Other than going to, like, the pumpkin patch and shit. That was really fun.
Yeah.
But watching Log Horizon with you has been a great time. Log Horizon is... I like it possibly even more than the first time I watched it. I mean, the first time... I feel like I was learning a lot of the things that the show talks about, and now I feel like those are things I've been thinking about and obsessing over for the last 4 years. And, like, I would still say that the show, it has moments where it can be a little, like, it could take a little long to get to the point, or it can be a little hand-holdy through stuff that's easy enough to understand, because it is kind of like an educational show. But at the same time, like, it's so much better than I feel like most people would ever give it credit for or recognize, especially the directing. It's really well directed. It's great, and I love it. It's a 10 out of 10. I apologize for ever having said that it was less than a 10 out of 10. Well, we've been going for like an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm running out of shit to say.
Oh, well.
How are you doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah, you having fun?
I am having fun.
You like the Pokemon?
I do like a Pokemon.
What's you got any more things you want to talk about?
Well, not particularly. Is there
I feel like before we started this, you said, I got plenty to talk about.
No, I just said I wanted to talk about things.
I see. Anything on your mind?
Not things that I would want people to know. That's the thing. Like, recently, not really recently, but some time ago, somebody in my family heard me talking negatively about an experience.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I know that these people are watching this stuff, so it like severely limits what I'm willing to talk about. And also it was kind of like made me step back from social media a whole lot as well, because like I don't want to, you know, bring them any excessive stress. And it might be kind of like a lazy way out of it, like a lazy excuse, is how I don't want to make anything.
I don't think it's a lazy excuse.
I just like don't want to have to even think about the ramifications of saying something on here that I wouldn't want somebody to know.
I mean, my mentality is always that I'm willing to come at everybody because I feel like everybody has done me wrong, and therefore I'm going to just...
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of had that mentality, like, I haven't done anything wrong, like, so I should just be able to talk about, like, what's on my mind, but I feel differently now, just due to certain things.
Yeah, it's scary to put yourself out there, and it's gone really, really badly for some people we know as well, you know, like,
yeah.
It's like both it can hurt you and it can hurt the people close to you.
It's like before I was more worried about like the things that I was like the things we were talking about like possibly turning up or like a troll or something, but now it's just like I don't know. I just like feel reclusive not only in like what I say online, but just like how I behave.
I feel reclusive in general. I mean, I've been kind of talking about this, especially on the I Am Game streams, that just, like, I don't like anybody, you know? Like, I really feel distant from humanity, and I always have, but I feel like it's gotten even more extreme. It's like, I love you, and I love hanging out with you and spending all my time with you, but it's like, everyone else is so much worse by comparison. It's like it used to be that I could hang out with, I could kind of deal with people if they were okay, and now it's like okay is not good enough. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah. I used to be more willing to just put up with just people being more critical of my behaviors and the things that I'd say, and just like take it as like, oh, this is just how things are. Like, I shouldn't always feel confident in the things that I'm saying or doing because like people just don't like me. And now it's like, oh, well, I can feel comfortable and be myself, so why would I want to spend time with people who didn't value that?
I feel very similarly, and I think that, and I know that it might sound like we're like coddling each other, but it's like it's possible to be critical of one another without being an asshole, and I don't know if most people know how to do that. Like, I mean, and granted, I'm also kind of a dick to people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like twofold. Like, I'm somebody who, like, if I'm around in a situation or in a friend group, there is going to be drama just because of, like, the ways that other people treat me and the way that I, like, treat it in response.
Yeah.
And if you're with somebody, like, who you actually trust and, like, feel comfortable with, like, there's no risk of drama. Like, we're not gonna have any beef between us because we both see each other as equals and we're both, like, confident and willing to say, like, when somebody's overstepping a boundary or being kind of an asshole, we're like
Right.
willing to critique the other person in a safe way. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, granted, I do have the net of like the PCP guys who I have a pretty healthy relationship with most of them. Like, I would say that some of us have drama, but like it's always fucking weird. It's not drama the way normal people have drama. It's drama in like a ass backwards autistic way.
Yeah.
That normal people would probably never experience.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking about it, definitely.
So you know, there's some of that, but like for the most part, with those guys, and especially with Tom, who it's great to live with Tom because he's like, Tom is, in many ways, I was excited about the prospect of living with Tom, and he's the only person I can think of who I would ever be excited at the prospect of living with other than you, because Tom is, for me, the most like agreeable person that there is. That like he and I both have the same idea of like being very closed off and observing the boundaries, and like, you know, like we don't demand a lot from each other. It's like enough to just be there when the other person needs you for something, and if not, then you're not doing something together. Like we do things together. We're never just like, you know, like, not to say that we don't like hang out and have conversations, but like there's no demand from one another like to be there and do something. It's like any demand we might have from each other is because there's a project we're working on together, and we're both people who will get it done quickly. We're not people who are gonna wait around or like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the opposite of how roommates are. Like, you have a roommate, and if you don't like talk to them in the way that they like expect you to be, they won't like you.
Right.
Like, I've had roommates who, like, because I'm a little bit more quiet and like I'm in my own world and won't like really like want to get involved in their shit, they'll just be like, oh, my roommate is a weirdo. Like,
Right.
but Tom is like, oh, we both understand that like we don't have to talk.
Yeah.
We don't have to be buddy 24/7, but we can like trust each other.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel like you and Tom are.
I mean, I feel like I'm the kind of person who, I guess I always feel like I'm trading with people. Like, I'm giving you attention, I want attention in return, and it has to be like of an equal quality almost, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I cannot suffer to be bored. I can't stand to be bored. I can't stand to feel like I'm doing something just for someone else's sake and getting nothing out of it. And like in your case, everything you do for me or with me, is enough for me that I would do anything for you. You know? Like I feel like I get so much out of our relationship that there's nothing that would be too much to ask, you know? And you wouldn't ask anything that much anyways. Like, you generally don't demand that much of me. Like, when I think about what like most guys like are demanded of from their spouse, it's a lot bigger than what you demand of me. But I think it's because you see me as someone who provides you with a lot as well. So like, I think both of us just feel like we're getting so much from the other person that we don't feel the need to ask for a lot more, you know? Like,
I mean, I've never really asked a lot from anybody in general because I've never been that way.
well,
I've
we're
never
both the
really
type to
trusted.
want to get it ourselves too.
Yeah, I've never really trusted people to like be able to not handle what I want, but like to take my needs
Understand what you want,
seriously,
like-
I guess, or like to like respect the things that I want. So it's like refreshing to kind of have that.
Yeah. I think for me it's like, I don't expect anyone to be able to do the thing I want them to do better than I could. because like I don't expect them to understand what I want from them.
I also just like don't feel comfortable asking people for favors because it like puts you in an uncomfortable position, and I would rather just like worry about my own thing. And
I don't just mean favors, but I mean like you don't like. I think a lot of women would want me to have like a regular job, or like when I take some of the big risks I do as a creator to like have more of a windfall or like a clearer plan. And like you have a lot of trust in my ability to
but I have that trust in you because
do.
Like we talk about it. It's
Right.
not like you just do things like behind my back and expect me to be okay with it. It's like I'll ask you like, oh well, if this is like the direction you're gonna be taking, like what are you going to be doing if this doesn't work out, or just like kind of being on the same page about like what are the risks and rewards of certain business kind of ventures that you're going on, because like it is kind of freaky to be like, oh yeah, my man doesn't have another job, he makes YouTube videos.
I think it's like a matter of you trust my logic and like we think very similarly, so I think that when I explain something to you, you get it easily in a way that like if I tried to explain some of my plans to Victor, his response would often reach a point of just whatever, you know? It's like he would try to argue the way he thought things would go if I did this thing I'm talking about. And I would argue why, you know, like what my logic was. And he just would not see my logic. He'd just be like, he'd be like, oh, well, you know, if you think that's how it's gonna work, then fine. And like, you know, it's like I thought through it, I planned it out. It's, you know, and some people get frustrated when they don't have a counter argument but they still think you're wrong. I think that's where a lot of people become frustrated. Is like, because for me it's like I'll listen to a counter argument. But if you don't have a counter argument, then
you don't have a point. Like you're just saying things because that's what you have, like some vapid understanding of something because that's just how it is with you.
Right.
And if you can't explain why, like that would make you.
And it's not to say that I don't think your feelings are real, but that like if you don't have a better explanation, then why would my feelings not be also true? Like, Econ has always said that he thinks you should listen to criticism even if it's badly worded, because it's like those people, they still have a point. They didn't like your thing. They just don't know how to make that point well. And I'm like, you know, I agree with that sentiment, but like in terms of where do we go from there, like how do we make it something they will like, now that falls on me to think about. And if you can't give me an argument, then there's no way to go in the direction of what you want, you know? All you've communicated is not this for me, you know? And it's not always like, it's like, well, if you don't know what you want, then I don't know how to give it to you, you know? Like, you can send me back to the drawing board 1,000 times and like I can keep coming back with something you don't like unless you can give me some kind of logic, you know? So like at the end of the day, I'm just exploring my own logic further and further, trying to find an answer. And it's like, I understand why it's frustrating for people when they don't have a logical reason for why they think you're wrong. But like, I'm not going to change my operation, you know, if I don't have a trustworthy source of logic for why I should. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that you are somebody who, like, is capable of, like, seeing the logic and changing your mind if you think that the logic is sound, in a way that a lot of people can't. Because a lot of people want to stick with their gut, and when they hear the logic and they don't know how to argue it against it, they just say, okay, whatever, and then they're frustrated, you know?
I'm excited when things, like, are not what my expectations meet, or, like, when things change my mind, because that's, like, cool.
Yeah, and it is for me, too, and, like, it's not to say that, like, I am unable to have my mind changed. If I'm presented with logic that goes beyond what I've thought about, then I'll be like, oh shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, I didn't think of it that way. Like, you alter my course, especially on small stuff, all the time. Like, because I tend to fucking miss the details a lot, you know? Like, I tend to miss the obvious thing that would change we're talking in such vague terms that it's difficult. Like, I can't think of any specific examples for any of this, but like, you know, I just think that we have good communication is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that we're like very much on the same page, and as a result, we do not demand much of one another. And it's not to say that either of us is like completely satisfied with our lives, because we're both like kind of looking for like new things to do, both like together and just with ourselves. But like, you know, we do not struggle with each other as a part of our lives. Like, that's the easiest part of my life, is my relationship with you, you know?
I think that's how it should be if you're in a relationship with somebody, like, after a certain amount of time. Because, like, when you first get into a relationship with somebody, it's always going to be, like, a matter of finding
The rhythm.
your rhythm and, like, what somebody else expects of you, and just how that person, like, handles certain situations. But once you, like, understand that, you can start moving forward. And if you're not moving forward, then like you're stagnating, and you have to kind of like seriously consider, is this relationship like worth having in your life, even if it's like not even a romantic relationship, but just with like anybody. If it just like seems like you guys don't really get it and you didn't hit it off, like, try again. It's just not this person.
And I feel like the way that I tend to handle things is that I'm the type of person who, when I play a video game, I want to try to get 100% in this area before I move on to the next one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm playing Pokemon and I'm trying to catch every Pokemon, I'm going to catch every Pokemon in this zone, evolve them all as far as I can within that zone, and then once I feel like I've done everything I can, I move on to the next zone. And sometimes my engagement with trying to get like 100% in a game will start to break down when I reach a point where there's like too much to do, or like where doing everything isn't as much fun. So like, for instance, Crosscode. At first I was doing every single quest in each area before I moved on to the next area. But eventually I got to a point where like I had spent so long on like doing the dungeons and doing certain quests that like, and I was kind of getting over leveled, and it just felt like I didn't need to do all the quests anymore, and like the point of them had kind of broken down for me, and like it didn't fit the pacing of the game to keep doing them, and there was just like a lot. So I just kind of lost interest in doing like every quest in order as it went. And the reason I bring this up is that when it comes to people, I feel like I always want to get a perfect understanding of where someone is right now, and like what our relationship is, what we can do together, and then move forward from there. So it's like, when I lose contact with a friend for a little while, it's almost like it's nearly impossible to get back in contact with them for me. Like, there are people who I've known for years and who like I consider to be like people who maybe were close with me at one point, but like if I don't talk to you for a little while and I don't really have a handle on your narrative and what you're trying to do, I don't know how to move forward.
Yeah.
And like, it's that weird feeling of like wanting to always be at 100% before you do anything. It's like, I always want to know exactly what's going on. And this is why it's even been difficult with a lot of my artist friends. I have a platform to promote people. I have a platform to work with people, to help people get bigger, to help them, like, you know, to just do all kinds of stuff together. And the biggest problem I've always had is that I can't get a handle on anyone's personal narrative. It's like, if I don't know what you want your career to be, if I don't know, like, what stuff do you want to be big, you want to promote, like, what are your goals, what are you going for, and, like, what can we do together to make that possible, then I don't know how to help. And, like, a lot of my friends just don't like asking for help. They want to do it on their own terms, and that's fine. But it's like, there's so much I could do as a support role for people, but I need that kind of plan. And like that's why I've always wanted PCPHQ to happen so badly, is that like planning things out to do with the PCP guys would involve like happening to be online at the same time as them, and like I don't know what their schedules are. I don't know what their day-to-day lives are like right now, you know, like and it changes all the time. Sometimes somebody will be super active in the chat for a little while and then suddenly they'll be gone, and you'll be like, well, I don't know what Ben Saint is working on what he's prioritizing unless he comes over and talks about it. I don't know what's going on with Jesse unless he happens to show up, you know? And so like it's always been like difficult for me to find ways to work with everybody unless they're around. And like when Ben and Devu were around, it was weird because in Devu's case, he was basically just editing my videos, and like I couldn't really come up with anything more than that I wanted to do with him. And part of it was that I was still struggling to come up with videos and to have something in time, and for him to have it edited in like a timely fashion. Like it always felt like we were going down to the wire, you know, like it always felt like things were done right when they needed to get done, and there was never time to think about another thing. And with Ben, he just was doing his own thing, and like he was struggling to keep up with his own schedule because he was like doing Nuzlocke and comics at the same time, and it was always just kind of a clusterfuck. With Tom, I feel like he's so much easier to keep track of like what's going on with him and like to schedule around stuff and to like be just, I don't know, he's easy to work with for me. Like I really click with him, and so like that's another part of the reason why I've put so much emphasis on I Am Games, is that like I'm kind of tired of working alone, you know? Like I'm tired of everything relying on me having ideas every week for videos, and like, you know, even though I work with Devu, it's like I work alone and then I send my work to him and he works alone, you know?
Yeah.
And like I don't find him that easy to work with in like a, you know, us working together on a thing. Like whereas Tom, it's like the way the two of us think and act and our pace of living is so similar. Like when I go up to his room, he's working on his game or doing art or something, or he's on PCP. And when he comes down here, I'm making videos or, you know, podcasting or doing something. Like the only other thing we do is eat, basically. And like occasionally we just hang out and talk. But like the things that he's doing are so similar to the things that I'm doing that it's like we're obviously on a wavelength.
Yeah.
It's this feeling of like there's this magnetism in our house of like we're all working on this stuff, you know? And like
we all YouTube boys.
And obviously I always know what you're doing because we're always in the same room. Yeah. So it's like, it's very, and with you it's even more on a minute level because it's not just like, oh, we're going to schedule a thing to do together at 6. It's like everything we do in the day is going to be scheduled around each other. So it's always going to be like, what are you working on right now? Are you hungry? Are we moving on to the next phase of the day, or are we chilling at this phase, you know?
All right. I'm
definitely done. I'm like just spinning my wheels trying to come up with more shit to talk about.
Yeah,
Did you save?
Yeah, I saved.
You saved just now?
Yep.
All right.
I got 6 new shadow Pokemon.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a good run today.
Yeah, it felt like things were happening this whole time. I didn't know what. But
yeah, we went to this lab and I started fighting people in the lab.
All right, everybody. See you next time.
Bye-bye.